The wide, wide world of tabletop gaming presents BCS Inside the HQ, Episode 3 To Prep Deaf or Not to Prep Deaf? That is the question. I am your pensive and Shakespearean host, Brian Martin. Thank you once again for joining us. And we've got a couple of things here that we need to clean up. Uh, what to do with the 336th Infantry Division for the Germans. Again, they have all of the victory hexes at present. Are literally have Russians at the doorstep. The units that the Germans have at the front right now along the front line, 6 step losses each. They're middling units, each with three action ratings, going up against Soviet units that are 3 action ratings. They've got a couple armored cav units in the back that have 4, but it's not a disparate spread of what they're facing, and they're not facing the mass of Russians that are lined up here against this thin line. They're just this little tiny line there. So, as I'm looking at this and understanding that if I hold ground and stay where I'm at, I'm in good shape. Not to mention, this unit here is on a hill. This unit's in open ground. That one's in open ground. This one's on a hill. And this one's on a hill. So, 3 of these units are in terrain. So they're getting a bonus on defense. They'll get a bonus on defense if we go into prep def. So if we're looking at that, grab the microphone here real quick. Hopefully this won't get too loud. If I'm looking at my charts over here at the table, I'm looking at the combat tables here and getting a sense of what's coming up here. So let's take a look at the regular combat table. First of all, they are they're infantry in a terrain hex. They get a +1. They will get +1 for prep def. So right there, they get a +2. They're not stacked together. That's because they opened the game that way. And there's really no point in stacking them together because it's going to leave holes in the line for to have to patch up. So a +2 is what each of these German units are going to get if and when the Russians bring an attack forth when the 1st Tank Corps and the 3rd Cavalry Group activate. So, in my mind, even though fairly novice at this, seems to me that it's a no-brainer to set the Germans into practice, which you do before you hit the set for dice. So you can do that before you know what type of activation you're going to have. And the other thing you can do is you can decide to do a recovery activation if you so choose before the set for dice roll. And that would end your turn, basically. Well, there's nothing here. The 333rd is fresh. I'm sorry, 336th is a fatigue 0. You can't go back to fresh. So a recovery activation would only help if you had a lot of markers, ghost trains, coordination markers, things like that. They don't. So they're in prep def. So we're gonna mark that now on the headquarters unit. The first thing we're gonna do is we're going to mark so they're going to get a +1 for that and a +1 for the units that are in terrain. The other units will just get a +1. So that will be helpful. Now we go to the activation. We're not going to. We're simply not going. Well, we've already called it, so we have to do a snafu dice roll, and we're not going to do anything. We're going to do the snafu just to see what kind of activation we would have gotten. I didn't do that before. I did all the other dice rolls where I got here. And actually, I did do it. Its roll was a 10. 10. So they're activating, and so we flip them. We highlight the formation to show where everybody's at. These units could move, but right now this unit here is providing a little protection for the 11th Panzer quarters and for the train. This unit here is providing some protection for the train for the 7th Field Division. So right now there's no need to move anything or do anything. So the turn will pass and we will enter done. So 336 is done. Told you it was going to be real short. So now we're going to move to the next activation. I've already rolled this out and figured out what the different things are, but we'll give you the overview of what we were planning before we knew what the outcome of the snafu dice roll is. So the 333rd rifles are in play. So we're going to flip him over, and we're in the first activation phase. That's all of these guys here. Now, the way I see it playing out, and I'm trying to do what I think the good Russian player would do, is these two units here are going to gang up on this guy. He's got he's on a hill, so he's in defensive terrain, but the Stuttfeld division hasn't done anything, so there's no prep def. He's getting +1 for the hill, negated by the +1 assist from the other unit. This three AR unit is going to lead the attack because this two AR unit is less than this three. So they're going to be it's going to be a close battle. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those A1 with the what is it called? Situational retreat. I wouldn't be surprised. These two units here on the front line are not going to attack this unit. This unit here is going to move up to here. Together, they will attack this unit, which is again on a hill, and they're both threes, so it doesn't matter which one leads the attack. The reason that this unit is not doing anything is because we're going to use this unit with this unit to attack this unit, which is a weak unit. It's a two. They're threes. Yes, on a hill again. And then these two units here are going to press the advantage against this unit here. So this unit's going to move. This unit's going to stay put because, and so is, and these guys are all first tank units here anyway. This guy here is going to help. So these two can go, and then these two can go. So attacks all across this front, hoping to drive them back. The 7th FLD here will have to retreat in this direction. The Stuttfeld would have to retreat in this direction. If they are all successful, if this guy winds up going back here, and this guy winds up going back here, and this guy winds up going back here, and this guy winds up going back here, then on the second activation, which they would definitely try for, they'd need a 4 or more, so 50-50 for a second activation. They can move some of this KV tank back here and start making some headway either against State Farm 79 or wherever it is they want to go to solidify what they're doing. I could easily see the range is 6, so the HQ, they can't get too far from HQ, so they almost have to travel together and certainly not alone. But if the second activation can get these units out of the way, these units here, out of the way of the first tank group, when that unit activates, they can punch through any holes to get down here toward the 11th Panzer and try to help that out. We'll see. One of the things I have learned in this game system is if you've got two units that are in close proximity to each other, two formations, and they may both need to go to the same place or go through the same terrain, you've got to time it right. You you've got to make sure that you put the unit that's in front has to go first, and they either have to get out of the way of the unit that's coming in behind, or they continue to lead the charge. When I played last Blitzkrieg, I had reinforcements coming in, and they got stuck because I didn't move the guys that were already on the map out of their way, so they could steam uh, down the road and not have to worry about overstacking or illegal moves or whatever. So that was a learning lesson. So in this case, we want to, whatever we do, we want to make sure that these guys here, if they make that breakthrough, get out of the way of the first tank group here, because they then can do something and get things rolling. So we'll see how that works. Now there's this unassigned unit here, and my guess is that when we get to the first tank division, I'll assign that unit there. That would give them two KV uh, breakthrough units to deal with, and now that's pretty valuable. What does 333rd Rifle Formation look like in terms of what they are and where they're at? Well, they have one artillery that is given to them, assigned to them, and two artillery that they are blessed with, and so they've got three artillery points there. They do have limited support, an AT gun uh, that can offer limited support, which is good because again they're on the attack. They're going to have another +1 for support, and because there's no armor up front for the Germans, there's no one that can take out the support, and that's crucial right now. So that is what we plan to do. So I have already rolled the dice. I do not know what they are. I've already rolled the dice. I just dropped them in the dice roller and walked away as I came over here to start this video. So they've been rolled. I just haven't seen them yet. And as a result, I'm going to walk over now and find out what that roll is to see is it a full activation or partial. So for this one, for all you newbies, we're looking at a little different situation than we had for uh, the 11th Panzer. So first of all, the 333rd Rifle Division is fresh, so they get a +1. They're not coordinated. They don't have fatigue. They don't have mixed formations, and the Russians are not under any sort of snafu die roll, special snafu die roll. So a +1 there. The MSR is complete. It is optimal distance, but it does use tracks. It does use tracks. And you're going to say, where's that? Well, that track is right there. Where's it go back to? Well, actually, if I let me put it this way, I believe it doesn't use tracks because, let's see, let me double check. Yeah, it does, because here's the headquarters here, and that headquarters is coming back along tracks here. So the MSR does use tracks. So -1, so there's a +1. The dice roll is 11, so it is a snafu. It is a full activation, and so we will show that on screen and show you that the 333rd Rifle Division is the unit selected. We've got their little, it's got the chit there from the game, and it is fully activated. So this will be a full activation. So we're going to stop episode 3 right there. Leave you with there are some battles a brewing, and then we'll see what happens in the second activation in episode 4, which we haven't titled yet, but episode 4 will be coming probably tomorrow. I will most likely play this out this evening or first thing in the morning to play out, and then come back and we'll talk about, as we start episode 4, we'll talk about how this turned out and what will happen either for a second activation for this unit or what they will do in the potential second activation. So as I always say, I do appreciate anyone who's watching this. If you're getting something out of it, that's great. If you're having a chuckle about it, that's great too. Um, Hopefully, uh, we'll get through this first game turn and show you every one of the activations. When we get to the second game turn, I will not. I will get to. I will do certain activations and share them with you. The others will just play out because there is a point where I do want to make sure that I'm not taking forever to play this because I'm spending a lot of time on video. I think most game players would argue they much rather play than do all of this, but I want to do this to get at least through the first turn and see where we're at, see what that map looks like, what the battles of all the battles are, and all that stuff. So again, I appreciate everybody who watches. I appreciate everyone who has a comment. I appreciate everyone who has a like. Heck, if you've done a thumbs down, um, at least you're looking, right? Um, so until episode 4, we leave you with this situation, and we will be back for episode 4 sometime tomorrow. So until next time, this is Brian saying so long, everybody.